Are we all on, Rebecca, to call it to order since it's 2 o'clock?
Charlene?
Hi, this is Charlene. I was doing a head count trying to see if we're at quorum. We need, I believe, we have 16 active members due to 2 vacancies, so we should need 8 members. I'm trying to do the head count off to the side here.
We have 9, 2 of them from the same agency.
That should satisfy quorum. We may get a couple other to join on. I know Sue Gallagher today let us know that she would be a few minutes late today. We should have more based on the quorum RSVPs as well. They're probably going to be jumping on in the next minute or so.
So is it all right to begin then? Since we have a quorum.
If we have 8.
And we do have 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we've recognized that we have a quorum. And Charlene, do you want to do a roll call?
That's not necessary.
Okay. All right. I just saw it there, so I didn't want to miss out on it.
That's fine, thank you. We have the attendance in the sidebar. Appreciate that, Chair Johnson.
Okay, thank you. For the members that are with us, when we have a chance to vote today, we're going to assume that you have a yes vote. So when I call for the vote, I will just say if there's any dissenting votes, please vote no. And if no one votes no, then we will say that the motion carries unanimously. And you know that to make the motion, you will push your raise hand little thing on your list, and then the first person that makes the motion and then the second person whose hand goes up are the ones that count. So if there's any questions about that, you can ask me or you can ask our guru Rebecca as we go along, because it's still a learning experience for all of us. So the first thing we actually need is an approval of the minutes from our May 18th meeting. So if I could have a first and a second for that, please. Just raise your little blue hand. I have a first from Melanie. We need a second. We have a second from Maria. Is there anyone opposed to this? Please vote no if that's so. So motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We now need a motion to approve the agenda for today. So if you would like to make a motion for that, please raise your hand. Melanie again makes a motion. We need a second, and a second from Ephraim, please. Thank you. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Are there any public comments, Rebecca?
None had been received prior. If anyone in the audience would like to raise or has any comment, they're more than welcome to raise their hand now.
I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I assume that we have none. So we'll pass that. Thank you. The next thing we're going to have is a report from the Broward MPO website feature accessibility. And Hannah is going to make that presentation for us. Hannah, how do you say your last name? Bourgeois?
Bourgeois.
Bourgeois, okay. I was trying
to...
All right, thank you, Hannah. You have the floor.
Awesome, thank you. Let me just grab my presentation. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. As Chair Johnson mentioned, my name is Hannah Bourgeois. I'm the Public Outreach Officer here at the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization. Some of you guys may recognize me. I actually did a presentation to you guys back in October of last year in regards to different assistive technology and resources that are available to those in Broward. But today I'm going to be focusing on our website improvements and specifically a new program that we installed called Accessibility. So just a little bit of background. Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act refers to public accommodations and requiring organizations to take steps to communicate effectively with customers who have vision, hearing, and speech disabilities. One thing that a lot of organizations have actually been working on as well is including different ways to communicate with those who have cognitive disabilities, although it hasn't been written in the ADA yet. That is something that Accessibility actually covers as well. So in a few minutes, I'm going to bring you all to our website to show you different features that Accessibility offers to supplement all of the efforts that we've already been doing with our website. So just to touch on some of the different features that I'll be going over, it offers things like a translator and dictionary. So for those who don't have English as their first language, or they're struggling with some of the words on the page, this is a really cool resource. You don't have to leave the page at all, and it's all right there built into the Accessibility program. And then some features for those who have vision disabilities are adjustments for font size, line height, different letter spacing, text alignments, different things like that. And then to address cognitive disabilities, and again, although it's not written in Title III yet, it has some features such as highlighting different headings and buttons, as well as offering a seizure-safe mode. So some of the improvements that we've made to our website prior to onboarding Accessibility are writing in plain speak. So basically broken down, this means that we don't use what we call plenaries, which is very heavy technical talk, because a lot of people who visit our website don't have the technical background. So we want to make it accessible to everybody, whether they are planners or it's just members of the public who are viewing the website. So some of the ways that we've been incorporating different features include multimedia enhancements. So if you visit our website, many of the pages have either pictures or graphics or videos that are embedded into the pages to break up those big blocks of text. Additionally, some of the web pages have a lot of information on it. So we've included sidebar menus to some of the pages, such as the Complete Streets pages, our Commitment 2045, and the Freight pages. So we break down that page into a sidebar menu so that it's kind of like having tabs for the different web pages to break it down into more bite-sized pieces, and it's a little bit easier to digest that way. Another thing that we've really been requiring staff to do is to make all of their documents, whether it's PDF, Word, or images that are uploaded to the website, accessible. So basically what that means is that when someone is using a screen reader, the screen reader is able to pick up all aspects of either that document, Word document, or an image. So specifically for an image, one of the things that we do is adding a tag or alternate text. So that means when someone scrolls over the image with their cursor and has a screen reader enabled, it will read to them what is on that picture. So for instance, in this screenshot, it would say a roundtable with different elected officials in the Broward region talking about projects coming to the area. One of the last enhancements that we've worked on as well is including closed captioning to all of our videos. So anything that's on our website as well as our YouTube page has the option to add closed captioning to it. So for those who are hard of hearing or deaf, they have that option to still know what we're talking about and what's going on. So now to bring you and talk about the Accessibility plugin specifically, this is where we are now that we've really onboarded it, and it's more of a supplement to all of the other in-house efforts that we've been using. So one of the really cool features that it offers is automatically auditing the website every 24 hours. So one of the things that it does during this audit is recognizing if there's any buttons or tabs or headings or pictures that have been uploaded and looking to see if a screen reader is able to pick it up. So that's just one of the many things that it does during that audit. I'm going to bring you to our website and I can actually start playing around with some of the features and getting you guys familiar with it. Are you able to see the screen, our website homepage? Okay, awesome. So when you first get onto the website, on the bottom right-hand corner here, there is a little handicap icon with a blue background. So you'll click on that, and then it opens it up. To drop it down again, you just click the X here in the top left-hand corner. So one of the first things that I had mentioned is that it has a built-in translator. So in the top right corner here where it says English, you can drop it down and you can select any of these languages, and it automatically, for instance, if I click French, it'll automatically go and translate the page. It takes a few minutes sometimes. Okay, it's not cooperating right now. Okay, I'm not sure what it's doing there. All right, well, it's not letting me show you the translator for some reason, but that is an option there. Sometimes you just have to let it wait. There's a pretty nasty storm going on right now, so my connection isn't the best. One of the other things is the online dictionary. So right here where it says search the online dictionary, for instance, if you type in street, it'll pull up different uses of the word and a Wikipedia page that can bring you and to show you more information. So for instance, the first definition for street is a public thoroughfare in a built environment. So that's really great for the population in Broward who doesn't have English as their first language or are working to learn a new language, and you can do any, type in any language there. One of the ones that I mentioned for the cognitive disabilities is actually a seizure safe profile. So when you toggle this on, it doesn't make a huge change to the website, but it does dull the colors a little bit, and it helps limiting the colors, and then specifically with videos, if there's large flashes or there's a lot going on in the video, it'll dim that down to help prevent seizures, which is really innovative. This is the only web accessibility plugin that I've seen that actually has that option, so it's really cool. Some of the other ones, the cognitive disability profile, what it does here on the screen, there's a little orange outline of a box around the logo and different buttons and tabs within the page. So it calls attention to that and helps people focus on, the different drop-down menus and the different features that the website is offering. Another really great one for blind users, it has a built-in screen. So when you have that toggled on, it not only enables the screen reader, but also enables keyboard navigation. So you can use your keyboard to go through and tab between different pages, use the search bar, and fill out forms, stuff like that. So that's really great. Some of the other ones that are really useful just for anybody, adjusting font size. So especially if you've been staring at a screen all day, this is really awesome because the more you click it, the bigger the type gets. So you can really see it down here. And even during presentations, it can be a really big help. So there's that, and then adjusting the line height. So this adds a little bit more space in between each sentence and each line on the page. Another one, so after you play around with some of the settings, you can actually go back up here on the top left where it says reset settings, and it'll reset it to the way that the website naturally appears. So I'll show you in one of the, in an article that has like a lot of text where it's a little bit easier to see some of the features. So you can actually change the alignment as well. So if you want to align the text left, align center, or align right, you have that option. And the really cool thing is that it actually carries over all of the settings to different pages. So as you move through the website, it'll actually adjust each page based on the settings that you've already pre-selected. And then, it just keeps going. You can change the color. You can have a dark contrast, light contrast, monochrome. So again, it's especially helpful if you're looking at a computer a lot. Many of us are working from home, so it's not just for people who have disabilities. This is really for anybody who is using the website and uses the computer for hours and hours and hours every day. The last section here under orientation adjustments, some of the cool things. We don't have too many animations on our website, but there's one that says stop animations. So say it's a slideshow going through pictures. If you click that, it'll pause the slideshow and allow you to click when you want to see the next picture. And so that helps with focus. You know, when there's a lot of things going on a page, sometimes it's hard to focus on either the copy or, you know, a chart or a table that you're reading through. So those are just some of the features. I've spent hours toggling through them and, you know, really using them and seeing how it enhances using the website. So I encourage every one of you guys to. Again, our website is just browardmpo.org. So in your free time, feel free to go through and check that out. Again, my name is Hannah Bourgeois. I'll put my contact information back up on the screen. So if you have any questions in regards to either Accessibility or getting it onboarded or just general questions about it, I'd love to chat. And thank you again for letting me present to you guys. So here's my contact us. I'll leave it up for a minute, and then Rebecca, you can go ahead and carry on with the rest of the meeting. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. Is there anybody that has a question for Hannah right now? I gotta get back to my screen. All right, everybody's good with that? All right, so then we'll go back to the agenda. Rebecca, you want to put that agenda back up? And, you know, I wanted to say that I was remiss because I get not so comfortable with all of this yet. So I was so busy trying to make sure that we all got started and everything is working that I forgot to say welcome. And I'm so glad to see you all and thank you for coming. And I wish we were there in person because I'm still like an in-person person. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us. And it's good to see you all again, even if it is just a little picture on my screen. All right, so now our first action item is the motion to approve the 2021 LCB meeting schedule. It's pretty cut and dry. A couple of the meetings have changed, like the meeting in January is going to be moved to the 4th Monday because of Martin Luther King birthday, and the May meeting is going to be moved to April to accommodate the rate model. And but I think since everybody has advance warning that it shouldn't be a problem to anyone. So does anybody have a question on these dates for next year? Hopefully we'll be together for them. All right, could we have a motion to approve this then? And a second. Okay, Melanie made the motion and Efren made the second. So is there anyone that opposes? Scroll down. Okay, so motion passes unanimously. Thank you. The second action item is the motion to approve the grievance committee. And we thought that maybe Melanie, since you're so involved in this, that you might want to have something to say about this and explain it to folks or answer any questions if they had them.
Hey, I don't usually involved, I don't think, with the grievance committee. I'm involved with the other ones, the review committee in April. So I don't usually work with the grievance.
Okay, I got wrong information. And is there somebody else, Charlene?
This is Charlene. This is Charlene. Thank you, Melanie, for chiming in. So the folks that participated, some of the grievance committee issues are addressed through the review committee. And so in the past, as we set up the grievance committee, essentially we received volunteer hands went up to volunteer to serve on a grievance committee should an issue come up. And last year's list for the folks that participated or were willing to participate if a need came up, we've never had an issue come up. Usually our partners over at the CTC do an expert job in resolving any issues, and this hasn't ever presented itself. So the folks that served last year, or who at least volunteered to serve last year, were Charlotte Mather-Taylor, Sue Gallagher, Maria Carey, and Judy Alphonse. So we just need to receive volunteers again, should an issue come up, that we have people ready and prepared to address a grievance issue.
So
I would be happy to do it. That's fine.
I'm happy to do it again.
did you see who those people were since they said it verbally?
Melanie?
I heard Charlotte and Melanie, correct?
Correct.
We need 2 more if possible.
I can do it again. This is Maria Chiari.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. One more.
I think we can live with 3 if no hands are going up. And if someone decides to volunteer after the fact, we can work with that.
All right, sounds good. So, whoops, leave meeting. So we need to vote on that. I don't have my screen up to read exactly what it says. Okay, so we're going to vote to approve the grievance committee. So we need to have a motion to do that, please. Okay, Danielle, make the motion. Maria seconded. Is there anybody to object? All right, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to our non-action items. Paratransit update and transportation disadvantage grant tracking report, Paul Strobus, and he's going to also, I guess, talk to us about the impact of COVID on services, et cetera. So Paul, it's all over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So we're surviving through the time period of COVID. We are still working through our offices here at BCT, not working from home, because we want to make sure that we're providing all services, including eligibility for new applicants, recertifications and such. So over the summer I've been here. We have been receiving our new vehicles, getting them decaled, getting them converted to our propane. We just ordered 60 new buses that go into production at the end of September, and they'll be here roughly November. 49 of those 60 are funded with the Broward sales tax revenue, and the remaining vehicles were funded with 5310 grant funds. Those will be converted for propane once they arrive. Of the 60, 46 of them are for state of good repair so that we can retire some of our older vehicles. And the remaining of the order was intended to meet the growing demand of our program. Obviously that was pre-pandemic, but we know that we're going to come back to some level of service in the near future once we all get to level 3 and everything reopens. So, you know, we need to have that vehicle capacity before we reopen so that we're ready to go for our customers. Over the summer, since our last meeting, BCT was subject to the quality assurance review that CTD does every 2 years. They have a consultant that comes in, reviews our policies, procedures to make sure that we're compliant with all of the rules of the CTD and that the revenue from the trip and equipment grant is being spent properly. That occurred on June 17th. It was done virtually. The auditors did not come on site for the review. The review went very smoothly. There was a finding in the final report. Our former paratransit vendor, First Transit, which ceased operations for us December of 2019, was not able to access some of their archived driver records that was subject. They wanted to see individual driver folders as part of the audit, and they had archived those records in Iron Mountain. And because of COVID, they were having difficulty getting Iron Mountain to access the records in a timely fashion. It ended up being a finding in the report, but we were able to get those records after the fact and respond to the report. So other than that, the real important stuff I felt, you know, we were given high marks for in the way we deliver our TD services here in Broward County. Over the summer as well, Nancy and I participated in multiple public workshops that the CTD held to present their initial trip and equipment allocation study findings, recommendations, get public input. And they held 3 workshops between July and August, and gave us an opportunity to ask questions and bring up points that we felt needed to be included in the study. Those were consolidated into a final report, which was presented to the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage at their business meeting in August 26th. And I'll go into that more once I talk about that in the next presentation. The FPTA also got involved and brought me in as a panelist or a committee member to discuss how the overall TD allocation was going to affect transit properties across the state of Florida, both large and small, how it impacted ADA service delivery as well as TD specific. And in that committee put together a written response to the allocation study. So I helped put those points together, and we'll go over those as well. Another thing that we had over the summer, I've been pushing to get a new mobile app for customers to access on their cell phones. It will allow you to check on the status of where your ride is graphically. You'll be able to see the vehicle, how far away is it from you. It'll allow you to cancel trips, book trips, and things like that. So my software company and I got together. We demoed the first version, July 28th. They went back to the drawing board after they showed it to me. And about 2 weeks ago, they demoed the updated version. And it's pretty close to what I think our customers need. It'll be a fully accessible app for all users. And so we're working on the deployment of a test environment pretty soon. And I hope to have it out this fall for customers to use. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. And the final thing that we did to help enhance the TD program here in Broward County, a firm called AbleTrust, reached out to me to participate in FDOT's long-term transportation plan. It was a town hall meeting that occurred on the 2nd of September, and they wanted to bring in a transit focus on the gaps and needs that we need to see over the next 30 years that FDOT plans what our transportation is going to look like, and to ensure that it's inclusive to all riders. So I was honored to be contacted by that firm and asked to speak on behalf of the disabled transportation environment down here in our county. So those are some of the activities that kept me busy over the summer. In regards to service delivery, you know, the paratransit program here in Broward averages about 16,000 to 17,000 trips a week pre-pandemic. In March, and with the declaration of the state of emergency in our region, we saw a dramatic drop-off where at the end of March and the beginning of April, we were down to about 3,000 trips a week. Mostly just the life-sustaining medical services for things like dialysis, chemotherapy, and some employment. We really asked customers, and with the stay-at-home order in the region, we asked a lot of customers to try to limit their transportation to essential only, and a lot of them did that. As we entered into phase 1 reopening in the county in May, we have seen a slight uptick in ridership, and it's gotten a little better through August. We're back to probably about 50%, maybe right around there, of what our ridership levels were pre-pandemic. So people are starting to get out more. And as you know, phase 2 just was announced in our region I'm getting calls from certain centers that they're going to try to reopen early October. If the Broward school system is able to open, as the superintendent has announced, the first week of October, I expect to see ridership jump for some of our schools that use TOPS to get people to their programs. So, you know, we're prepping here for, you know, a reopening. Whether it's customers being able to come to the government center where I'm located for in-person customer service with their applications, bus pass processing, that type of stuff, or service on the street. We need to make sure we've got enough drivers back and ready to go. Our call centers ready to go, while still trying to maintain the safety of our employees and the passengers with what's going on out there. So right now we're kind of at a status quo. We've been fully operational all summer to meet the demand that's out there that needs us. We are operating normal hours of service. We have, because of the added capacity with the lower ridership, we're still booking trips as a single person direct ride. We're not doing any ride sharing at this point, and we'll continue to do that as long as we have enough capacity to meet the demand. Once the demand increases beyond that capability, we don't want to have wait lists. We're not going to deny service. We will then start to multi-load vehicles at a reduced capacity. We won't fill the bus, and we'll space people out accordingly throughout the vehicle. We're still requiring face coverings to ride on TOPS. Drivers are still being screened as they come in every morning. They're temperature checked. They're provided masks, and shields are optional, but they are given a shield to wear over their face if they want to as well. They're still required to continue to wipe down the vehicle in between riders in the high touch points with a cleaning solution. You know, these processes have done us a great job over the summer. We've had a couple of customers report positive results in COVID testing, but we've been and we've removed those drivers from service that were exposed to them for the incubation period. But we've been lucky enough, you know, knock on wood, that most of our drivers have continued to be COVID free, and we haven't had any issues there. So that's been good. And I think the cleaning protocols that Transportation America, my providers, put in place between their drivers and the nightly disinfecting of the vehicles has been successful. So we'll continue to do that. And some additional steps that we've got. I've purchased and installed sneeze guards, which are plastic guards that are attached to the top of all the bus seats to add an extra separator between the people in the rows of the bus. So we've retrofit all the vehicles in the fleet with that. The 60 vehicles that I mentioned earlier that are on order that are coming are going to come installed with an ultraviolet air purification system in it. That way the UV lamps will be able to kill any germs or viruses in the air, cycle the air in the bus every twice a minute. So that'll add to the cleaning protocols that we put in place, and we're looking for a solution that will allow us to retrofit the existing fleet if that is approved by my management. So that is all I have for my update, and if there's any questions by the board, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is there any questions? Put your hand up if anyone has any questions for Mr. Strovis.
This is Charlotte. I haven't figured out how to do the hand up. I apologize, but may I say something? Little spastic. I know Paul oftentimes hears lots of complaints and is dealing with, you know, concerns all the time, but I do want to compliment him because, I mean, sometimes, you know, when you do things right, people don't point it out. And a lot of our a few of our providers have been open and they've been using TOPS. And I have to say, I've heard really positive things about the way that Paul has been handling everything and the cleanliness of the vehicles and the protocols they have in place. So I know it's been a really challenging time for everyone. So I did want to compliment Paul on really, during a difficult time, making sure the vehicles are safe for the seniors who are using it. So, and everyone who's using it. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, one other point that it's in the report with my statistics, but I didn't call it out, is I'm able to use this period of time also as a sounding bit for my boss as I continue to push for appropriate resources for our program. The problems that we were having at the end of First Transit's tenure here, and even in the the transition, the on-time performance issues that we had, that I blamed on capacity constraints, has been very evident, because with the lower ridership over the summer, TOPS has been averaging 99.8% on time every day. So, doing 1,300 trips a day and direct where there's no ride sharing, we're getting people picked up and dropped off almost 100% on time, which is, it shows that what we do works when these other things don't come in. If I have enough drivers, enough vehicles, and the passengers are ready to go when we arrive, we're able to run this program almost perfectly and get people where they got to go on time. So, as we start to go back to 100% capacity and continue to grow, this just enforces the needs that we put forth for funding in vehicles and drivers, and passengers are ready to go, because it's not all the system. Sometimes it's the customers themselves that cause delays. But people will remember that ride, that this is we're getting people picked up on time, and this is the way it should be every day. So.
All right, thank you. That's really very good news. Danielle, you have your hand up.
I just have one question. What will be the mobile app's name, and what kind of accessibility features will it have?
I'll have to get back to you that on Danielle, because right now it's a beta test for the software, so we haven't marketed it as a name yet. We may go with the My Tops Trips, similar to our website. This just might be a mobile version of it, just so customers understand
where to go.
The both. But yeah, we haven't got to that point yet to flesh it out. The accessibility features, I'll get back to you with the list. Like I said, it's being developed right now, and because I don't have a disability, I've got other people testing it for some of those features that need it. I don't. So once I have that, I'll be able to report back maybe in the October meeting, some more detail for you.
Very exciting to hear. I mean, I've never heard of any other paratransit service have this, so this is probably groundbreaking for us,
Well, it is for us. There are some of my peers out there that do have an app similar, and more are trying to get to that point where individuals who use transportation network companies like Uber or Lyft that can order an Uber and then be able to see it as it's coming. We want that same feature for riders, but also to go one step beyond. It's the caretaker. Mom's at home wondering where Johnny is, and this way here she can see, okay, there's the vehicle, and then even once they're on board, you can track it until they get home. And so it's just it's an added convenience for the customer. I think it's an added safety feature for the rider and the companion, or the loved one that is looking out for them. So I've been pushing for this for a couple of years, so I'm glad to see we're getting really close to deployment.
Thank you, Paul. You and Nancy.
Are there any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much. That was a great presentation and a lot of very optimistic news. So we really thank you. Keep up the good work. Yeah. That phone never rings. It's my home phone. I don't even use it. Okay, so moving on with the next item, administrative item about the planning related grant agreement task quarterly progress report. I assume that you folks took a look at it. And are there any questions on it?
Oh, Chair Johnson,
Sure, yes.
the second non-action item was to go more in depth on the
Oh, I
allocation
did
study.
that. I'm sorry. I jumped all the way down to the administrative items. I didn't have that up there. You're right. So, right. Do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, so Rebecca, do you have the presentation I sent Charlene?
I do not.
Oh, I lost this whole thing now.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So let's get in here. All right. All right, you guys see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, so Charlene sent out to all the board members the draft allocation study that was done by the consultant. And as I mentioned in my update, the 3 public workshops, as well as the feedback that they got, was presented at the business meeting for the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged at the August 26th meeting. This is the presentation. It's shortened down because I knew we didn't have all day. So I really took the slides that I thought our committee would benefit from seeing, and I'll try to do my best to answer any questions. I think a few people had brought up questions after Charlene's email. So essentially what the commission was instructed to do was to review how the trust fund was allocated across the state of Florida, as that method had been around since the 90s. It hadn't really been updated, and the old formula was looked at by many across the state not to be a true allocation formula to take into the diversity of the state. Broward County is the second largest urban area in the state of Florida, and then you got Podunk County, pardon me, I don't know the names of them all, that, you know, has like 500 people that live in their whole county. So this fund has to balance between our county and those smaller ones. And so the legislature gave them funds to go out and bring in a consultant. They were to look at, you know, all the different things that went into how the money was spent, to develop a new methodology recommendation, talk to the stakeholders in the industry, and then they want to have this all in place for July 1st, 2021. So historically, since 1999, it was made up of a base amount that everybody got, a flat rate, and then there was a formula that took into consideration the total population of your county, the total graphical square miles of your county, the total number of trips that you report in the AOR that we submit every September, and their vehicle miles. And those are weighted in a formula, and it spits out a dollar amount. And it's through a trip and equipment grant that allows us to draw down a reimbursement for all the service that we provide. So the issues that the committee had with the current methodology was, first of all, it was old, over 20 years. Populations have changed over the 20 years. The base amount was the same 20 years straight. There was no growth for inflation or anything like that. So they looked at this, and their other issue was with the AOR. because of the differences in counties and how they do their work, some are private nonprofits, some are county governments like myself that contract out the service, some are TD only, some are a mix like we are with ADA and TD so that we can have lower overhead in our delivery of service. So because of all the variables that go into the AOR reporting, they wanted to look at what they could do to ensure that the money being allocated was being allocated based on true TD service and not these other programs that aren't TD funded. So what they wanted to change was only use TD populations. And in the census data, you can pull out the senior citizen population, your disabled population, your poverty population. So they've recommended that we use those factors instead of overall population of a county towards the calculation for the new data set. They also want to use centerline miles, which is basically you know, the road network within your community. So a county like ours that has a larger square mileage because we've got the Everglades, that doesn't get included in the capture. So most planning organizations use centerline miles to determine the road network in your community. Instead of using AOR statistics, they want to use TD invoice data. And we'll get into, that's one of my big issues with this new model for our area. And then an increase in the base model funding, which we don't have a problem with that. Now, the model is very difficult to understand, and I've spent a lot of time trying to read. They've really gone in with this consultant. They've got weights for different types of trips. Some is rated 1.7 for wheelchair. So you really got to understand the business to understand how this all goes together. And it's taken me a while. And I don't know that I completely have it under control yet, but we're continuing to review the report, try to dissect it. We're asking questions. The biggest issue that I have is the board's already voted to move forward with these recommendations and start the next process. I'll tell you as a committee, because of the type of service that I deliver here in Broward County, we've got bus passes, we've got door-to-door trips, we've got income verification as part of our eligibility process for individuals. None of the changes to the model had drastic effects on our funding levels, okay? As I stated, we are the second highest recipient of funds in the state of Florida, but because of what we do, I've maximized our ability to use TD dollars through technology, through policy that we've put together. So even with these changes, if you look at the results in the draft study that broke down the 3 different recommendations by the committee, we really were in good shape on all 3 of them. There are some counties who have 20–30% swings in funding. We don't see that in the Broward model because of what we do. So again, more with the weights, and you know, we went through it all. These were the 3 models I mentioned on the screen. Model 2 is the most beneficial for us because it is really based on the service performance, and we do so much TD service between door-to-door and bus pass. We overspend our drawdown every single month pre-pandemic. So much so that when the pandemic hit and we had the ridership drop, I had so much overage between July and February of 2020 that I could reallocate that service that was locally funded as an overage. I could apply it in March, April, and May and June so that we were still able to draw down the entire grant where other counties didn't have enough service to draw down their funds. So, you know, we were in good shape through the close of the trip and equipment grant that ended on June 30th. So, you know, we recommended model number 2. It looks like that's the model that's going to probably be the model that goes forth. And so I really don't have any hang-ups on that. Again, this just talks about more of the between the variables. So the recommendations that they presented to the board was to amend it. They officially decided the old one needs to be changed, and so they want to change it to the new variables and weightings. They are recommending that there be a phased-in approach to try to lessen some of the impact on funding. We asked for them to delay this an extra year. My concern being that the Broward County budget finalizes tomorrow night, and my 2021 budget's kind of been set since April or May, and this affects July 1st next year. So if there was to be a change in funding for a county, it could affect a county that's operating budget starts in October and ends next September. That was denied by the commission. And so, you know, we'll see what that does. But again, I don't think it'll hurt us too bad here because of the way we're organized. So the other thing that we wanted to make sure of was that because the AOR is not being used and invoicing is being used, the service that I was able to recapture at the end of the fiscal year needs to be captured somehow because they're not included on the invoices between July and February. So they're going to have to make a policy change at the CTD level to allow that to be tracked somehow so that that service can be weighted in the overall allocation study. Otherwise it would disadvantage anybody from providing more service than the grant allows for. And they did make that recommendation as number 5, is that the CTD has to ensure that their policy is in line with the new method. So implementation timeline, they did agree to a phased approach. It still will be effective on July 1st, but the weights of the percentages will differ to reduce that gap on some of the communities that we're going to see large swings in funding. So I've looked at it. Again, we stay pretty baseline amongst the 3 years because the numbers don't affect us the way they do some of the smaller programs. So, you know, overall, there were a lot of counties that had concerns. You know, especially that subcommittee that with the FPTA that I mentioned. You know, in one of the models that they talked about, we pointed out a flaw in the fact that the county below us in Miami had zeros in 10 of the 15 weights that were used as part of the allocation. And that's just not, it doesn't make sense that the largest county could have zeros in 10 categories that you're using to allocate funds. And a lot of it has to do with how they count bus passes and trips within the ADA core. And I brought this up to the committee at our last meeting, that the CTD has still not made a policy modification to allow CTCs to bill for TD service within their ADA corridor. And that has to be addressed. In one of the public forums, they said they will address that after the allocation model is finalized. Our point to that was that the data they're using to make their decision could be skewed because of not allowing that service to occur. They took the comment, they filed the comment, and then they did what they wanted to do. So the next step in the process that I wanted to make sure the board is aware of is to start the rulemaking development process. This is a public process. The first public input for that is September 30th, 9:30 to noon. That's the meeting information. This all could be found on the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage website. And, you know, I just encourage anybody who feels strongly to make sure Broward is treated fairly to stay in the process. I'll be intimately involved in it to the best of my ability to ensure that we get the resources that we need to meet our growing demand here in Broward County. So that is the end of that, and I will answer any questions anybody might have.
Do we have any questions?
Hey, Paul, it's Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Hey, thanks for breaking that down, because when we got the report, I just couldn't make sense out of it. I wasn't sure if it was good for us or not. So thank you for breaking that down and showing us which is most beneficial for Broward County, and thank you for representing us. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. This entire presentation was for you, Melanie, because I wasn't going to call you out, but you were the only one that asked questions. So
Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Bob Sedlicki. I represent
Bob.
I represent people over the age of 60 in Broward County. And I'm just curious as to the status of the bus shelter program, if any. Do we still have a program to install bus shelters?
yes, sir, we do. Yep, with the passing of the transportation surtax, that had a detailed shelter program over the next, I don't know, dozen years of adding to our shelter capacity throughout the county. Off the top of my head, I don't know the number of shelters, but I can tell you that this year, FY20, it was somewhere in the ballpark of 75 shelters, and I believe it's about the same number next year. And that will continue to go forward as part of our surtax program, locally funded by that initiative.
Great. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, thank you again, Paul. Very, very good presentation. I feel like we're in good hands and you'll take care of us for Broward County. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to the administrative items. Let me see, Paul already talked about the impact on COVID on the paratransit. And I think that number 3 is something that you might want to know about the upcoming business meeting, because that will be virtual. So if anyone is actually interested in seeing how this works or anything to do with the CTD business meeting, the information is there and you're welcome to attend and perhaps pick up some information that might help you. And I believe Charlene wanted to address number 4 about the U.S. Department of Transportation Complete Trip program. Charlene, did you still have something you wanted to say on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair Johnson. I just wanted to say that we took on this project as an organization, and it's very exciting. For those of you, if you haven't looked at the details of it that were in the agenda, take the time. This is going to be, if we are awarded, we're going to have a lot of really good resources moving forward for our TD community. And I especially, the reason why I asked to bring this up is, in addition to that, there is a presentation available that you all can look through our actual phase 1 application. But I did want to thank our partners, particularly our member Danielle McGill, for working with the Ann Stork Center to help us to get a letter of support for that application. So we were able to be successful in our submission, and just wanted to extend our kudos to them for their support for our application.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Charlene.
I
Right here.
lost most of my screen here, so I can't really see who's asking what.
Rebecca, this is Charlene. Do you see any other hands raised?
All I see is Charlene and the agenda, but I don't see the whole rest of. There
The rest
it goes.
item,
Okay, now I see it. Now it's back. So no one else had their hands raised, but I thought I heard someone speaking in the background.
I think that was just a mute issue, Chair Johnson.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So going forward with the rest of the administrative items, does anyone have any questions on any of those that might have come up when you read them? Do you have anything further to share on any of them, Charlene? We're all set? Okay. And so then we'll end up with members' comments. So if anyone has something they'd like to comment on anything we've talked about today or anything else, please put your hand up and we'll be glad to hear what you have to ask us about. No questions?
Chair Johnson?
Yes.
This is Charlene. I apologize. I did have to field a couple phone calls from members while the meeting was getting started, so I had to pop in and out. I just wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity for public comments. I had to step away.
Yeah, we did. And no one commented either ahead of time or came in today.
Thank you for that clarification. I do appreciate it.
All righty, very good. All right, so I don't see any further questions from anybody or comments from anybody on the board. So that brings us to the ending here. Our next meeting is going to be October 19th at 2 p.m. I assume we're going to be meeting the same way again. So if we have a motion to adjourn, we can be on our way. Would someone like to give a motion? I've lost that screen again, so I can't tell if someone's making a motion.
Hi, this is Sue Gallagher. I'll make a motion.
I see Melanie and Ephraim have their hands up in that order, so we'll take theirs. Sorry, Sue. All right, so all in favor of, I assume you're all in favor of joining the meeting. So if you are against it, say nay. Otherwise, we should stand adjourned. All right, meeting adjourned. See you next month. Take care, stay safe. And thank you for coming.